Hello, everyone, and welcome to Flawless, a music podcast. My name is Liam, and I'm joined by my co-host, George.
Hello there.
Unfortunately, Grant can't make it tonight. Grant, we hope you're feeling better, and hopefully he will be by the time it comes out, because it's coming out pretty soon. Each episode of Flawless, one of the hosts or a guest nominates an album they think is flawless, and we talk about why they love it, how they discovered it, and what they love about it, and then at the end we decide if we agree that it's flawless. We have a Facebook group. It's called Flawless Friends and Family, and we'd love for you to join and tell us what you think about your favourite albums and your favourite episodes of Flawless. You can find the link to that in our show notes. We also have a Patreon. You can back us from as little as $1 a month, and no matter how much you back us for, you'll get access to our special bonus episodes, and the link to that is in the show notes as well. And each Tuesday night, we now have Flawless Music Chat. So if you're a Clubhouse member, you can find George or myself and follow us, or follow the Australian Music Industry Network. And we chat about old episodes and sort of some of the things that we like. And we'll just have a bit of a chat about the music that we're listening to and that we really love.
Absolutely. And you can bring your own flawless albums to the fore. And we have little chats about that too.
Right. So our intro is officially getting out of control and I might have to cut something. But this episode of Flawless, we have a guest. Would you like to introduce yourself and let us know a bit about yourself?
Hello, I'm Ruby. Thank you so much for having me, George and Liam. I am a music manager from Brisbane primarily. I manage 3 bands at the moment, Bugs, Hope D and Void. I also work for Q Music and am a co-programmer on Big Sound, which is the Southern Hemisphere's largest musical conference. So that's me.
Awesome.
That's
and
good.
Ruby helped us coordinate Bugs. So Connor from Bugs, who's been on the podcast previously, so thank you very much for that. That was an awesome episode and it was great to have a chat.
No worries.
And also, I didn't know about that in advance, so I've just found out that you support Hope D because she was living with my stepdaughter until 2 days ago.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Brisbane
cute.
is a village.
Yeah.
Oh, it is. It really is. She's adulting now, I think, a little bit hard that she's alone in her house with her girlfriend. So, yeah, it's been nice.
Yeah, it was a girlfriend house when I saw it as it was being dismantled and people were moving out, and I was just like, yep, okay, that's why I've never been invited here. Like, it made perfect sense as a stepmom. Never mind. Cool. Awesome. So,
would you like to tell us what album you are nominating today?
I'm nominating Cardinal by Pinegrove.
Walking outside labyrinthian over cracks along under the trees. I know this town grounded in a compass. Cardinal landing in the dogwood. I keep going over it over and over. My steps iterate my shame. How come every outcome's such a come down? Lately afternoon with the shades drawn down. Kept saying I just wanted to see it. Saying what's wrong with that? Needle shaking outlines in a compass. Every outcome such a come down.
Awesome.
nice choice.
Yeah, very well done. So, Cardinal is the second studio album by Pinegrove, and it was released on February 12th, 2016 on Run for Cover. The 2016 makes it one of the more recent albums that we've covered. We tend to do a lot of older stuff that we grew up on, or George goes back even further than that. So this is
1954
Yeah.
is the earliest that we've done.
Oh,
So-
I love that. Yeah, it was a gamble as to what I was going to choose, but I thought recent ones just because my memory is the worst.
No, we love recent ones. So, how did you find out about Pinegrove? They're not necessarily a band that's been big on the radio or anything here in Australia.
Yeah, I actually was introduced to Pinegrove through my good friend Dom Miller, and I believe you've had him on the podcast
He
before.
has indeed, yes.
Brisbane's a village.
Brisbane's a
Yeah.
village.
So Dom has this obsession, and I know I can use that word because he knows it's an obsession of listening to every single album release every Friday, and he has extensive lists on Spotify.
Nice.
And a really super annoying system. Like, we've listened to so many albums. Oh, context for that is we used to work together in the same office, so every Friday we'd be going through albums, and he discovered Pinegrove through that. He goes through Pitchfork lists and all those kind of things, all the international kind of album new releases lists. So that was how I was introduced, and it kind of became a love affair of us just engulfing ourselves in Pinegrove and Cardinal from 2016, from its release onwards, and it was really something that piqued my interest straight away because of the Midwestern emo type way that they have like they set out this record, and also I'm such a sucker for anything with slide guitar or lap steel, so like I think it's the most romantic sound in the world. So
I've definitely written the word banjo more than once. So,
yeah, anything like that I was just sucking in straight away. So yeah, that's how I discovered Pinegrove, and I'm so glad I did.
Yeah, so was that in 20? So did you discover them before this album came out, or sort of as this was coming out?
Through this album.
Through
so
this album.
when it got
Nice.
released, this is my first kind of introduction. I guess their first album is kind of like a mishmash of what they were doing as a kind of fetus band. So in my mind, I think Cardinal is their first album.
Proper album.
Yeah, it's kind of something that like they really just punched out and was and really, I mean, took them to an international stage. Like it was, the reception for this album and was incredible. And also all of the visual content and all of the kind of promotional activities that we were doing around it, like the NPR Tiny Desk concert is incredible. Their Audio Tree session is also incredible too. So like everything they were kind of doing around this time to promote this album was just kind of like stars aligning. So it's something that's like, it's super special to me and brings back a lot of memories.
Cool.
Yeah.
Nice.
George,
Hello.
had you ever heard of Pinegrove before Ruby Jean popped it in our group chat talking about
albums.
Talking about albums she was nominating.
I had heard Pinegrove, the name, and I just thought of them as like a kind of a Death Cab for Cutie style band. And at that time in 2016, I was kind of listening to some of it, but I remember going, oh, I need to listen to that. And then didn't. So then I was like, oh, Pinegrove, great. I had an excuse to listen to this album. And so I did. And then I was like, really pissed at myself for 2016 me for not going, oh,
jumping
you need
on
to,
it.
you need like, this is exactly what you listen to, George, for frick's sake. I was very annoyed that I'd not heard the album before. So, I had heard of them, but just on the peripheral. So that sucks. How about you, Liam?
You and I are Pinegrove buddies because I'm exactly the same. I'd heard of them and I'd heard people talking up how great they were. And I'm sure I remember listening to pieces when they come out or in Spotify playlists. They probably popped up on my release radar and that sort of stuff more than once. But I never really sought them out. So it was exactly the same. I was like, cool, I'm going to listen to this properly now and it's going to be great. And it was great. And I was like, damn it.
We've all been there.
Yeah.
I'm so annoyed. Yeah, I'm so annoyed because it fits so nicely into so many of my playlists. And I have to tell you, like the moment I put Cardinal on and it opened with Old Friends, I got 1 minute into that song. I paused it. I went and got my guitar. I went onto like guitarchords.com and I looked up the guitar for it and just started playing along, even though I hadn't even finished listening to the song yet. I was just like, this is exactly my music. I'm really pissed. I got the guitar and I was like, I cannot wait to meet this woman and let her know that I got a minute into Old Friends, the opening track, and just went, nah, sorry, this is mine.
Oh, that makes me so happy, honestly. Like, they are, in my mind, a perfect band. I mean, since 2016, I mean, it's kind of embarrassing to say, but also whatever. They've been my top artist in my Spotify Wrapped, like every single year consecutively. And like the hours that I listen to this band is like kind of insane and embarrassing, but I'm also like I listen to them whenever, like cleaning house, when I'm sad, when I'm happy, when I'm on a road trip. Like there's literally not one situation where I'm not like, oh yeah, I want to put Pinegrove on if I'm at a loss to kind of listen to it.
So do you always come to this album, or do you listen to their entire catalogue?
I definitely listen to their entire catalogue. This is a tried and true, but their there's Skylight and their most recent album are definitely ones that I come back to as well. I think because they really developed their kind of country, kind of pushed more towards their alt country roots there. So I think that's, and it's fresher. So, but this is definitely one where if I know every word to every song. So it's one of the ones where I feel like singing along, I'm going to put it on.
Yeah.
I love the fact that they have that Americana country vibe and they're from New Jersey.
I know.
And I'm like, how have you done that? Like little children, because they were young too. And they brought out this stuff. And I thought, oh, you must be an old soul and you must be from like Missouri or something.
Yeah.
And then I had a look and I was like, oh no, absolutely not, they're from New Jersey. And then they moved to Brooklyn to get a bit more famous, and I was like, you are so not like down in the Bible Belt or in the country, like western.
You'd expect, some tiny little country town. Yeah.
No, they're not at all. Can we just name the actual members and what they do?
Yep. So we've got Evan Stevens Hall doing guitar, vocals, and some percussion and banjo and bass.
And keys.
Nick Levine doing guitar, backing vocals, bass, and banjo. Zach Levine doing drums and percussion, and Eddie Pugh on the spoons, all tracks.
Yes,
we love the spoons.
There was a specific note in Wikipedia, all tracks. I was like, well, I'll write that down there. So,
but Evan also did some mixing and mastering of some of the tracks too.
They also have what's her name?
The woman, Nandi Rose Plunkett.
Yes, she's also in there every now and then, and her voice and Evan's voice is like magic. Their harmonies are incredible.
Yeah,
so they did do something sort of more underground in alt country in that they recorded it in their parents' basement.
Yeah,
which was, and then did some additional recording in Chicago. So at least that's slightly more, cult country indie rock cred.
Slightly
DIY or die.
That's it. Yeah.
But otherwise, they were just in New Jersey basement. So Levine and Hall, they're like, they're based. So it was 2 different basements as well, and you can totally hear it in the album that they're not even hiding the fact that they're in a basement.
No.
Like sometimes, like the echo on the vocals sometimes, and like that just sound where you can almost hear them plugging instruments in, and like you can hear them like putting stuff down. Like they close out the record, I think, and it sounds like they're just putting their instruments away for 15 seconds, and you're like, you know you're still rolling, right? Yeah.
I kind of love that though, because it's kind of very reminiscent of watching a live show. So it's just like that magical, you get that magical feeling of, being in a live room and experiencing that. I think it's the perfect way to end an album, really. More people should do it.
And the mix feels like it's a live band. Like you can in your head, as soon as it starts playing, like the 4 instruments, they're not brought up and brought down and done different parts. It's like, no, there's just the 4 people doing a thing all together. You can see them, like you said, you can feel like it's a live gig. Just the leveling and the mixing works really well, assuming that's what they wanted it to do.
Yeah.
There's just one point where the guitar solo actually comes out a lot higher than usual, and I'm just trying to remember which of the tracks it is, but like there's some that but otherwise it's usually mixed really kind of low, and it's like guitar
like
solo,
lo-fi stuff.
I've written lo-fi more than once. And R's, there's R's and stuff in there, so I think it's just the way they have done their mixing, they've definitely made it sound like you're in the basement with them and they're just playing an intimate show with you, and you're like taken on a little journey.
Yeah, it's so nice.
It's a really good the album has a great atmosphere.
Absolutely. And it's I think that ties into a lot of like Evan is such a keen reader and he reads a lot of literature, and that comes out obviously in his lyrics, but like I think it also he builds the drama and builds the kind of scene. It's not just them playing a song on a record, it's kind of like you're in a little story even, so it's just and that's really special, I think. And I think that's some of the magic that comes with their songs, is each little song is a story, and you can tell it's real life. It's not just a track.
They're all told in first person. They're all I songs. They're all I did this, you did this, we did this together, and all that. So that personal touch, like you can feel it in his songwriting. It's like these aren't characters that he's made up in his head and put in a place. It's like, no, these are just things that he's felt and stories that he's feeling and experienced himself when he goes home. Yeah,
and even I can't remember what song exactly. I've got too many notes, but he even stretches into a bit of like stream of consciousness writing at some points as well, which is really nice. It just seems like he's writing off the top of his head and saying exactly what's going on in the situation at the time. And I think that builds a lot of kind of rapport with the audience and ability to kind of have people relate to his music, which is integral to any music.
When he was interviewed about the some of the stories and stuff about it being so personal, he did make a comment saying that he's mixed up around and he's definitely like changed it from like being just a straight like recount of a situation because he didn't want to hurt anyone's feelings and things like that. So he's taken that
identities private and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. So and he is like quite introspective a lot of the times too. So in the lyrics, so I've written quite a lot of lyrics now.
So
So
have I.
because so he uses fun words. So he uses the word solipsistic, which is really nice. And I was just like, you could have just said selfish, but you chose not to. Like so, yeah. And if you come back to him being into literature, I think they said they were reading Virginia Woolf and stuff like that. And you're like, yeah, it makes perfect sense why it's poetry put to music as opposed to just lyrics.
Yeah, he's definitely, I mean, listening to Pinegrove has definitely increased my vocabulary and my knowledge of words. And
having to Google a word.
Yeah, I've definitely done that heaps. But, you know, like who doesn't want an educational song, you know?
So did you know what aphasia meant, like, when you saw it? Because I used to be a nurse, so I knew what it was.
I looked it up, so now I know what it was.
So now you know what it is, yeah.
Yeah, at that time, actually, coincidentally, my friend was studying, what's the psychology? And she was doing a aphasia test thing that she did with us.
Oh.
So it was like very coincidental. But I think, so no, I didn't know, but then I did know. If that makes sense. But aphasia is actually one of my favorite tracks on the record. It's definitely a standout in it, and it's something that it's so sorrowful the way that it's told. The kind of struggle and like inability to express yourself is just so like frustrating and it makes you feel like you just want to like burst when you're kind of listening to what he's singing. And I guess it's a fear of a lot of people and mine that I can't express myself the way I'd want to other people, and being misinterpreted or misunderstood is just like a huge thing. So like having that in a song, and kind of, I know he sings about aphasia, but I think it's more in a metaphoric way.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, he's just talking about again, he couldn't explain himself, and he's kept himself hidden, and then he moves like he's proud of himself and moving into a point of going like, I'm talking tonight, you know, I'm doing so much tonight, and proud of himself. And then he comes back and goes, oh no, the cycle's come back, like I've gone back into not speaking again. But there's some really beautiful, like punchy like movements in there. And when Nandi Rose Plunkett comes in with her vocals, that is so powerful because they split between harmonies and they're matching, and then they split again to harmonies and matching, and that was just came across incredibly like powerfully to me. But this is the one where the guitar solo is like the outro for about the last minute and a half. So this is the prominent guitar solo I was trying to look for in my notes.
There we go.
There we go. We got there eventually. So yeah.
It starts with like that soft, it's a really soft and slow one, and it diverges a little bit from the rest of the four songs. It feels a little bit different, but then it slowly picks up over the course of the song, and then it ends as euphorically as they can be. Like this is them doing a huge big power rock moment, but it's just a guitar solo and it's still muted in their style.
Yeah, it's just a bit more prominent. I wrote bit more prominent, not wanky, not cock rock. So yes, that's good. That's a really beautiful song. So,
but one of the things that he does, and I really love it, and it's really highlighted in one of this stuff, is a lot of the times, even when he's singing about other people who've done wrong to him, he's not angry about it. So in this one, it's got the lyrics.
One day I won't need your love. One day I want to find myself by the one I'm thinking of. And if one day I won't need it, then one day you won't need it.
And it's just that moment of like, I want to overcome and do this thing, and I'm not going to define myself with a relationship, but you can too, and it's going to be really great for you. And this thing that's broken both of us, we can both, not just like, I'll get over it, and I don't care about what happens to you because I'm over it. It's more like, we can be over it together. It's going to be great, because if I can get over it, you can get over it.
Yeah, I just got goosebumps. That's one of my favorite lyrics that he's ever written, and I've highlighted it as something that I wanted to speak about. It's just so powerful. Like, one day I won't define myself by the one I'm thinking of. Like, it's almost an ode to the past love, but also an ode to self-love as well.
Yeah, definitely.
So I think that's really special, and it's just something that I always kind of keep in the back of my mind whenever I'm crushing on someone or like, you know, getting too deep. And it's nice.
So he's always showing progress, you know, it's never just, I'm stuck in this cycle and this is my life now. It's, you know, there's things happened that someone's done to me or I've done to them, but there's a way of moving through this. And that comes across in all of the stories that he's telling.
He's always aware of himself, like very self-aware and aware of the context of the, so he's, I'm having this feeling, but I also know this feeling is in the context of a thing that, so he's not like, the feeling's not controlling him. He's like, oh yeah, I'm having this feeling and I know why. So hopefully my goal is to either feel it more or feel less or do whatever, but he's never like victim to it or letting it control him. Like it's always, yeah, I know what's going on and I know I can move through it or get through it.
Agreed.
So yeah, I really love aphasia. That's really cool.
Yeah.
So, I know we have spoken about Old Friends, which is a bloody brilliant
We got to talk more.
intro.
That's, yeah,
But,
what an intro.
I wanted to just jump in and say about, we talked about the word solipsistic, but the lyrics are...
My steps keep splitting my grief through these solipsistic moods. I should call my parents when I think of them. Should tell my friends when I love them.
That's so good. That line, it's just, yeah.
So I heard that and just went, get the guitar, singing it. Goodness me.
But the other thing is, like that line, a lot of his other awesome lines is he doesn't put a huge amount of weight on it. So he doesn't go, look out everyone, here comes a lyric that's going to stick into your memory. I'm going to make a really big, it's just almost like he's just throwing them off. And it's like, and if you listen, it's like, oh my God, how did you just like say that and move through it and move on to the next line and not like spend the next 5 minutes bawling your eyes out before you get to the next line? Like,
Yeah, I love that lyric too, and I find this song Old Friends has a lot of kind of like balance. As you were saying, he's very self-aware, and there's push and pull even in the same lyric. For example, for the lyric, an appointment, oh disappointment, a setback, oh another come down. It's just like an appointment, oh disappointment. It's like a balancing act, like an appointment is opposite to a disappointment kind of thing, and a setback, oh another come down. It's kind of like being happy with defeat, but also realizing that there's kind of an upswing. It's the peaks and valleys of his life, and yeah, it's so nice. It's like a yin yang in every little stanza.
And then it's bookended with new friends at the end. So we should highlight at this point that this is only 8 tracks long. So it's just scraped into an album from an EP.
Yeah.
Yeah, any shorter and it might be an EP or a live song on the end of it.
I was going to say, like, goodness me. So I had 8 tracks on my album when I was in a punk band, but we were a punk band, so that's what you expect.
That would have been like 20 minutes long, wouldn't it? Like the whole...
Oh, I think it was 15 minutes.
It was 18 minutes plus electronic
Halfway in the middle.
We knew.
You knew. And it's only, this album's only 30 minutes and 45 seconds long as well.
Short and sweet, keep you wanting more.
That's it.
But they did release an extended version with 5 more tracks.
Yeah, so the Spotify version's got like, I think it's all demos and stuff. They're not proper tracks that they've put the whole thing into, but it's like demos of a couple of songs that are on this, and I think maybe some of their earlier stuff as well.
I read somewhere also that version was only released in Australia too. I don't know whether that's true, but I read somewhere during my research that the extended version was only released here, which is kind of cool.
The version on Spotify is the extended one, so I don't know if it's maybe on Spotify it's everywhere, but maybe they only released it on disc or something here, which we do tend to get some stuff like that.
Some funny thing. Australia and Japan, they're the ones that get the odd versions of albums.
We're so lucky.
I was always so jealous of being in England growing up.
Just get the bog standard stuff.
Jump off aside, Muse released like 3/4 of their stuff exclusively in Japan.
Yeah, they did.
It was just constant stream of just here's some Japan only stuff. You'll have to
Cheeky
go.
Bastards.
Yeah.
Well, I grew up being obsessed with the band Blur, you may have heard of, and I used to be in their fan club, and so you could write off and send a check in order to get the Japan only versions of things, but it was only made available to people in the Blur fan club.
Oh, gotcha. That's smart.
Yeah, so it meant that
check.
I would spend the equivalent of like $35 on like the Japan only version of a thing, and I'm like, yep,
You're a real one.
I was a diehard fan. Yes. So we
Ruby,
can't.
did you have any favourites you wanted to? I mean, you love them all, obviously, but is there any particular one you wanted to highlight? Chat about next.
Let me just look back through my notes. I mean, aphasia, waveform is also a big favourite of
drum
mine.
clicks, banjo, guitar.
Yeah,
that's it for the intro. That's like a really pared back Americana sound. Like that was definitely sitting on the deck, kind of someone like clicking the drum, like that, and just really awesome way. And it's all pared back for the verse, but then there's these just little hi-hats and twinkly bits on the guitar that sneak up on you as you sing.
And please, after this, I'm giving you both homework. If you can both watch the NPR Tiny Desk concert, the waveform version on that is so special. It's just the vocal range that he displays on that is just nuts. And I think they've got more. I think they've got 6 people playing in the NPR.
Oh, okay.
And God, it's just captivating.
Yeah,
it's just so nice.
It's that super country song. If you weren't sure, like some of the country elements are sometimes a little hidden in some of the other songs. Like you'd have to know what you're looking for in the patterns. But if you listen to this song and hadn't heard the other ones, you'd be like, they're a country band.
Yeah, exactly.
Like they've even got like the male wailing harmonizing in the back. Like you've got the other band members doing. Like you can see it live again. It's like they'd be chanting that stuff out, not into a mic. They'd just be on stage with no mic playing, and then just chanting it out. So you'd hear it if you're in the room, but on a recording you wouldn't necessarily. But it was awesome.
Yeah, it has a really lovely lyric. It was just so beautiful. It's just like, and I've been in those situations like, I'll go, but unless you need me to stay, I can stay, but otherwise I'll go. And it's just like, and you know that it's just an awkward hipster thing too as well. Like, just like, we're both introverted and we don't know where we're going with this. And one of us needs to make the first move.
It's like when you say sorry too much and you just like, stop saying sorry, it's okay.
Absolutely. So just in waveform, that was just a really beautiful moment.
Yeah, so lovely.
But I've written lyrics for all the tracks, so I can't drop them all in. So yes, so waveform's awesome, and then it moves into the Size of the Moon, which is the longest track on the album.
And I think my favorite one, because it opens with "Do You Want to Dance."
Yeah.
But like most songs that open with "Do You Want to Dance" are like, "I'm going to dance, you want to dance, we're all going to dance. It's going to be a great time." And his is like, "Do you want to dance? Please don't say yes.
Yeah.
I don't want to dance. You don't want to dance, but I have to ask you if you want to dance. So if you say no, that'd be great. So we can just go back to not dancing." But just that plaintive wail on it just makes like, "Do you want to dance?" Like, just no, I don't want to dance.
Yeah, and it's just like the whole song, I guess, is just reminiscing back on the relationship and being like, remember when it was so nice and everything was good, but now it's not, and I don't know what to do. Yeah. This song actually really reminds me of my best friend. She was going through relationship troubles at the time, and it was indicative of their entire relationship, just trying to kind of like keep that fire and keep that, spark any way they could, but it just was gone. And sometimes it's just one of those things.
And he even says, "Would you like a drink while we wait for everything to get good again?"
Yeah, exactly.
And you're like, oh, all right, just punch me in the heart.
Rest in peace, me.
Yeah,
and then every time in that song, the chorus, it cuts back to just a single person doing like a vocal wah-ah song, wah-ah line, rather. It's just, really cool, just stripping it right back and then picking it all up again.
But it sounds like party dance fun as well.
Yeah.
And it's like party
but
dance
kind of
fun,
really muted.
but then also melancholy.
Yeah.
So it's like we're dancing, but we're not sure if we're enjoying ourselves.
I would also really recommend the audio tree version of Size of the Moon.
Nice.
I just am obsessed with any of their kind of live studio stuff, and they do a lot of it. I know they did their last kind of album live in the studio, and it was a cool little like artistic experience. But God, I I love it. It's I can't wait till I can see them live. I actually, Dom and I almost got them out here before. I think it was 2017.
Yeah, it's one of the things we normally ask is, have you seen them live?
No, we were willing to kind of act as the local promoter and pay for their fee and all that kind of stuff, and they were ready to come for an Australian tour. And then that whole thing happened with the kind of controversy, the sexual coercion thing that happened with Evan, and they just had to cancel for the whole everything.
Yeah. They sort of just wound the whole band down for a little while that was being dealt with and sorted out.
The perfect way to kind of do anything, I think. But yeah, I haven't seen them, and it's my dream too, and I really hope I do one day.
When I was Googling them, I found out that Evan and Zach had a high school band. Do you remember their name? Dogwater.
Such a high school band.
Such a high school band name, isn't it? Yeah. So
was it like a punk band or something?
I think it was grunge. I think it was like a grungy band.
Yeah, I can see that.
That was
Dogwater's a grunge band.
Evan on guitar and Zach on drums doing, like, I don't know if there's anyone else, like, but they were not of note. But that was because they've been school friends since they were young. So yeah, they're all connected.
Since they were 7. So they met when they were 7 years old, which is like that, to have that connection and just stay all the way through, friends with people like that all the way through is just amazing. I don't know anyone. I'm not friends with anyone who I knew when I was 7 years old.
One of my best friends I've known since we were 3.
That's pretty cool. But I'm not.
But we don't see each other because she's in the UK and I'm in Australia, so that doesn't work. So she's an old friend.
No pun intended.
Oh, totally pun intended. But then the shortest song on the album is Then Again.
Yeah.
So that's got this jolly, uplifting start.
Yeah.
But what I really enjoy is you can hear Evan go and breathe in before he starts singing.
Yeah.
And that's really lovely. It was it was a really nice, again, intimate moment that you don't usually keep in a recording.
Yeah.
So when you hear like a breath, it's really, it feels like they're performing for you. So I thought that was a really nice thing.
I feel like the pace of the song really suits the theme as well. Like he speaks about how the first line is, I was totally nervous to go to Japan.
Yeah.
I tried traveling once, I lost my keys. And then it kind of just kicks in, like it's just kicking in, and you feel like you're kind of traveling with them and like feeling that kind of anxiety and nervousness to kind of be in another country. And it's the pace is so nice in comparison to the theme of the song. Yeah.
And he even says it's so illogical, it's nothing you can see. Like this fear that he has of going. It's like, it's illogical. You know,
millions of people travel every year.
Absolutely. But why would you be scared of going to Japan? It's like the best. Got tattooed in Japan. It's awesome. But that was like, that had guitar riffs that were mastered so beautifully that they were like, despite being like poppy, cute, indie and everything else, they weren't really overbearing. Like it was just mastered, as you said, like... Yeah,
everything in this whole album is just at a calm tone all the way through. There's not like we're trying to draw attention to this cool thing we're doing or this cool lyric that we're doing. It's just, this is the stuff we can do and we hope you like it.
Yeah. So I don't know how old they were at the point when they wrote this album, but they were still younger than I was when I put out mine, and it makes me sad when people put together such wonderful records when they're way younger than me. And I get more and more annoyed the older and older I get when people bring out these beautiful records. So yes, they did a really good job.
Yeah, amazing.
Did you have any other favourites, Liam? Sorry.
I also really liked Cadmium, mostly for its unusual structure, because it has one really big long verse at the start, and then a chorus, and then an adjusted chorus, and then it's like, okay, that's it. They were done.
Yeah,
that's kind of verse chorus something, but it's like is it? I don't know.
Keeps us guessing. It's so nice.
Yeah,
it doesn't kick in until a minute 55 with the bass and drums,
and it's like the big chunky guitar.
Yeah,
for them.
Dancing guitar, that's what they do.
Graded on a curve.
But he does these raspy, high-pitched squeals with, like, when he's doing I'm Tapped Out. And also at the end, I think it's Say What It Is. It's those raspy squeals of that kind of Americana sound, which, again, I couldn't believe that they were just a bunch of white boys from Jersey, but, like, they're just bringing out this stuff. But yeah, and then the guitar because the guitar comes in and then pulls back, and then kicks in again and stuff, and then has a 10-second like feedback fade just at the end
Over banjo.
over banjo.
The one. Or am I thinking of something else? Am I thinking about something else?
Well, there's a guitar solo that
Yeah.
is happening, and then it has like 10 seconds where it's like you almost feel like they got to the end of the track. He put the guitar down and went again. Oh, we'll just stop recording now. Like, just left a bit of feedback. Like, that's why I can imagine them being really good live. Like, you know, I used to do it with my band, where I used to take my guitar, and at the end of the gig, you put your guitar facing your amp, and lean it up there, and leave that really nice sound. And I've got a hollow body guitar with lots of metal components, so it had the best feedback. Yeah, so you can just imagine them doing that in a live show. So I want to see them live.
Yeah,
so you need to get back on it and get them over when this pandemic's over.
In the age of COVID.
Yeah,
they can take the 2 weeks. 2 weeks.
The quarantine
isolation,
hotel.
quarantine. Yeah, they can take it, right?
They should.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Did you have favourites, Liam?
I was just going to check in with Ruby. So I think we've done all the songs now except for Visiting.
I was going to say, yeah, that's true. Visiting. So drumsticks, just the percussion is just drumsticks.
I love it. I love the simplicity of it. He uses a lot of rods and I don't know what the technical word is, the one with the little metal spokes out of it. A lot of those
brushes.
Yeah, the jazzy brushes.
Jazz brush, yeah.
Which I think is super cool, but he's such a technical drummer. It's like incredible to watch him move, and it's great juxtaposition against kind of like, I mean, they're all such technical musicians, and I think that's super cool. But the drumming is just like, it really just perfectly complements the kind of guitar and all like the lyrics and everything. It's just I think that's what makes it like not boring indie rock. Like I think it's still got that element of like surprise and the combo of kind of the alt country and then the emo lyrics and all that kind of stuff. It's just it's ideal, really.
Yeah, because it's definitely the sort of thing that people might point to as like, oh yeah, another mopey white boy band. But if you actually listen to it and do that deep dive on, I think the emotions are really universal, and the stories that he's telling, you can really connect to, while also still being mopey white boy rock.
Yeah. And I like in Visiting, in the lyrics he references Montclair, New Jersey. Like he says, like we can go anywhere, like Montclair or anywhere or whatever, and it's just like that's really sweet, because if you know that that's where they're from, it's like they're doing a little heartbreak. Back to their actual hometown, which is really, really cute. Considering they were like recording it in their home, like in their basements anyway. But it gets really at the 2-minute mark, because it's only 3 minutes long, but at the 2-minute mark it gets really urgent and it starts ramping up and get to the final break, and with the lyrics,
oh, love that. I wrote that down as one of my favorite lyrics in this song too. It's just so earnest and beautiful, and like laying everything out on the line, and just like simplistic. Like that's one of the best things about this band, is it's just, as you said before, it's kind of just like, hey, this is us. If you like it, cool. If you don't, cool. But like, we're not gonna be anything that we're not. And I think that's what they're like, where their success came from. It's just kind of refreshing. It wasn't. There's no ego. It's just kind of like out there.
What I really like was Visiting after Aphasia, because in Aphasia he's talking about the cycle of being able to speak up or not, and then in Visiting he's like, this is all the stuff I'm really happy about, and this is stuff that's really cool, and he's like, his voice is there, like it's like he has aphasia, it's disappeared, and he's ready for Visiting and to tell somebody that I like you. You know, like, and it just felt like a really nice movement from one track to the next, because it had that that's me desperately reading into it, but it felt like a nice movement.
No, I agree. I totally agree.
Like from one to the next.
So speaking of people liking it, this album critically was a huge success. So it made like the end of album year list for AV Club, American Songwriter, Consequence of Sound, Paste, Pitchfork, The Skinny, Stereo Gum, and NPR. So I think everyone it is an album that if you didn't pay a lot of attention to it, you could think it's just another album of this style. But if you really listen to it and think about it and work with it, there's layers and levels that definitely make it stand out from other albums in a similar vein.
And on the Billboard, in the US Heat Seekers, it was number 7. On the Independent, it was 24. And in rock albums, it came in at 36 on
Incredible.
the Billboard rock albums. And
For
I'm just
like almost a debut. Like,
Yeah.
it's so huge.
almost a debut of like people in a basement, like making like really cute music.
And DIYing it feels a lot of the production and the mixing and stuff themselves. Like
Like,
we'll put the effort into, because they hadn't even signed either.
No.
So they recorded this album for themselves, and then they started shipping it around. And Cam Boucher from Sorority Noise was like, yeah, you should take this to a run for cover. They'll love it. And so, I really like Sorority Noise. There's a song, like one of the songs off their last album before they broke up is like one of my all-time favorite songs.
Oh,
It's really cool.
we should put that in one of our Patreon special episodes.
We should.
We keep talking about them.
We do. We just never record them.
Sorry about that, Patreon backers. We keep lying to you. Yes, but we will do those sorts of things, like one-off tracks and stuff like that. We've talked about it before. So if we have like just a moment, like there are, I think there's a line in The Size of the Moon that I really want to mention, if that's okay.
Do it.
Because it's just wholesome as fuck. So he's tried to speak to somebody with the sentiment of the good old days, but he's not getting responses from someone. So he says,
Do you want to talk? Fine, I'll talk it out, my dad. So it's nice that he said, well, that's some good advice from something in a book he read.
Cute.
and it was,
Dad.
It's like the fact that he references it, he's like, fine, I'll go and talk it out with my dad then, because you're not going to, not like I'm going to go and talk it out with Jack or, Ben or someone like that.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'm going to go and talk to my dad because he's read lots of books and he'll probably give me some very solid advice. Thank you very much. Which is just wholesome. And then, that's really nice. Like that nice moment, despite the fact that he's going through that difficulty in that track, like that sentimental track, and about everything that's going on with and there's lifts and R's. So you know how I like hand claps and
I know you do.
and things like that. So when there's a good I'm a sucker for an R. So I've written R's like quite a few times because it works quite ridiculously well with the way that they've framed all of their tracks, and they haven't gone oh shit, it's only 2 minutes 39, we better add another verse. They've just gone, oh well,
the
2
song
minutes
fits.
39.
Yeah.
And they haven't gone, oh, this one's gone all the way up to 4:47. They've just gone, oh well, that's the length of the track. There we go. And even though it's quite disparate, like different, like a 2 minute difference, they've just gone, this is what we sound like and this is what fits in this track, and it works and you wouldn't notice. I've
definitely noticed that as well, and they play around with the structure of songs and don't really care what for tradition or anything that's supposed to be like learned stuff. Like they'll introduce backing vocals like a minute and a half into a song, or a banjo part like a minute in, and just be like hello, and I think that's what keeps it spicy.
Absolutely, because they have a sound which now, like if you put on any of their tracks from future records, because I haven't listened to any yet, if you put on a track, I'd be like, oh, that's Pinegrove, that's the Pinegrove sound. Even though they don't do their like standard structure of like verse chorus bridge, chorus end, like they don't do that. They do, actually, we've got a bit of poetry here that we want to do some music to, and then we're going to put some music here with no vocals, and we are going to spend a minute and a half doing some guitars, and then we're going to have some silence, because why not? And it feels like they made all the decisions, like they recorded and did most of the mastering or whatever like on the album. It felt like they just really owned it, put their stamp on it, and if they self-recorded in that way. They didn't have a record label breathing down their neck saying, 8 tracks.
We need a radio single. Where's your radio single?
Yeah.
Like, oh no, there's no radio singles in this lot.
Well, they released Old Friends as a single.
Did they? Okay.
Yeah, they released Old Friends as a single. I don't know that it charted, but they did release it, which I thought was like an interesting one to release. I don't know. I feel like maybe The Size of the Moon, The Party Dance, or something would have been like more of a single. But
It's just long. It's 5 minutes, nearly 5 minutes long.
yeah, true. Radio
Maybe.
edits.
Yeah, radio edits. Yeah.
Yeah, we know all about that, don't we?
So George and regular listeners will know I'm always on the lookout for something I can tattoo onto myself, like a short lyric to overcommit to a band that I've only just heard about.
Oh yeah, I love it. I love it when he does this, and we're gonna make him do it at some point.
I'm going to have so many tattoos, it's going to be out of control.
Yeah.
Every outcome is such a come down. Just beautiful. And some of it's in the delivery and the intonation, but I think that's just a really cool line, and you could tattoo 6 words onto you, no problem at all.
Yeah. And the outcome, come down,
Yeah.
the use of those words is just like so poetic and like so nice to the ear.
Which track is that again?
That's the first one. That's on
That's
the
in
Old Friends.
Friends,
So
isn't
he uses the every outcome bit in a couple of different phrasings, and that's one of the phrasing that he uses it in.
Nice.
But yeah.
So that's one.
It's a little bit pessimistic for me, but then all the tattoo ones that I'm getting are pessimistic, so
We've
I'm
gone
going to just
through
go
quite.
with it.
So I can't even remember who the last one was, but you get a little bit like, I love a lyric, or sometimes we'll go lyric buddies because we'll both have the same things written down, like you and I have.
Yeah,
like,
I feel like we definitely had pretty much all the same ones tonight.
So like we'll go lyric buddies, things
Lyric
like
buddies.
I think about getting this as a tattoo. Is it too soon if I've only just listened to this album for the first time
it's a big
2 weeks
commitment
ago?
to a band that I don't know that well yet.
Yeah, this is true.
I love that though. I actually recently just got a tattoo, an Idols tattoo.
Idols.
Yeah, which literally one of my favorite bands in the entire world.
We did Idols late
did
last
Idols.
year from their album. George nominated their album from last year.
I did.
Yeah.
So we did Ultra Mono.
I feel like I would have done an Idols. One of mine would have been an Idols.
I think it was an Idols.
Oh,
one.
they have so many tattooable
Yeah.
moments.
Joe Tolbert knows how to write.
Yeah.
God, he's so good.
Yeah.
But I got IMI tattooed on my arm, so
yeah,
I thought that was
nice.
really cool too.
Nice.
Yeah.
But it's my only piece of words writing on my body.
Yeah.
So
Nice.
yeah, I don't know. It might start a whole new thing. I might start like going lyric crazy.
I don't have any lyrics, but I do have a matching tattoo with an X.
Ooh, spicy.
Yeah. Awkward. But I'm keeping it. It's mine. But that's the only one. But I don't have any lyrics. I don't have any words either.
No,
so
I've got no words.
Took me a long
I've
time.
just got the two.
Took me a long time.
Just got the two.
Just the two.
But they are fun references.
One of them's a band. Something for Kate tattoo.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
yeah, they'll be coming up soon, everybody. I've narrowed down my album to which one I'm going to nominate. So
He's been talking about how something Kate are going to be a flawless since we started this over 3 years ago, but he's never had the guts to bring one forward.
Pick one.
to actually lock in which one, because I could do it for all bar one. I could
Yeah.
make the case, and then I've got to choose one. It's hard.
It's like choosing children.
It is. It's really hard.
Yeah, I found this whole process extremely hard. I had, I think, a list about 50 albums, and I was just like, oh my God.
Like, how do you wind? Yeah, I know it's tough. Think about the fact we've been doing this for over 3 years. Why do you think we have so many guests?
Yeah.
Because we can't possibly nominate that many flawless albums and mean it.
Yeah.
So, that's cool. And except Idols keep bringing out new records.
Oh,
And
every Idols album is perfect, in my opinion.
there you go.
Mm.
Ruby, anything else you wanted to touch on, or we can go to your final pitch?
I guess my final pitch would be the way to go. I don't have
Go
anything
for
else
it.
to really talk about.
Mm-hmm.
I guess why I think this album is flawless is what we've kind of touched on before. It's kind of earnestness, and it's okay with just being it. And it's so incredibly kind of instrumentally diverse and different. And it's just really, I guess, it's all about the lyrics for me and the storytelling. Evan is incredible, and it's just it's standing the test of time. Well, test of 5 years.
Yeah.
So, and I'm still not sick of it. And I think, I guess, it also has so many kind of personal memories and reminds me of my best friend, and I just think it's amazing, and everyone should go and soak it all up, and please watch all of their live stuff. It's like it's really their strength, in my opinion. So.
And then you're going to bring them over. Yeah. And then we're all going to have a little flawless
Pinegrove,
outing.
they're coming.
Yeah, and then they can nominate an album. We'll get them on the podcast and we'll find out what they love.
I'm coming to that podcast.
You'll be organising it. You'll coordinate it for us. That would be great. Yeah.
Cool.
All 4 of them can nominate something.
Yeah, if they can agree on something.
Yeah.
No, 4 episodes.
Oh, 4 episodes. Okay. Strap yourselves in, guys.
Yeah.
Okay, George, final thoughts on Pinegrove and a thumbs up or a thumbs down.
Cool. Okay. So my first, as I said, a minute in, I was really thrilled that review exists. And I was really pissed at 2016 to now George. Because George, up until Ruby nominated this, was ignorant to this album, and George was very, very silly and should have done better.
I forgive you.
Okay, I know. It's whether they forgive me, because I could have been supporting them all this time. But yeah, so I gave it a listen, and I was just like, I had to make a Spotify playlist of just the 8 tracks to make sure I didn't listen to the extra ones. So I did that. And then I was like, 30 minutes, that's not very long. I was like, it could be like a punk band. And then, yeah, as I said, I put Old Friends on, picked up my guitar within a minute, and just went, how do I play this? Like, I need to own this. Like
It says it all, really.
No, absolutely. So, like, I play like Laura Marling and stuff like that. So it was like, it was just easy for me to like pick this up. And then I was like, okay, but can they carry this on through the album? And I think it's quite clear that in the way that I've been talking about it, that yes, they did carry that on. So there's no track on here that I would skip. I think the movement between tracks is very intelligent as well. I think the lifts and drops between the ends of a song and how they transition into the next song, I think that's really smart, because I would have it on repeat and I couldn't tell you where it started and ended. Like it all just flowed really beautifully. So I think you can guess from my language that I'm going to say that this was, for me, a flawless album.
Huge.
Awesome.
Thank you very much. So over to Liam.
So just talking when you mentioned there about creating the Spotify playlist, the demos on the end do sound very different. They are very clearly demos. It grabs you as like, hang on, this doesn't sound like the songs that were earlier, even though it's in their style. But I don't know why I do this to myself. I should not do a first listen of albums as background, as like I'm at work or I'm doing something else or I'm reading something else, because every time I'm like, okay, that was okay, but it didn't really grab me. And then I stop and I do some research about it. And the other thing that happens as well sometimes is like albums like this where it's like it was super critically successful. I'm like, I'm a bit concerned that, maybe it's just a bit too much hype or whatever. And so then I actually stopped and I listened to it, and it just blew me away. I was the same as you, George. It was like, first song, the tales he was telling and the human emotions that he's got are incredible. It was reminding me of something forever, because we've had a bit of a delay on this session. We were supposed to do it like 4 weeks ago. So we've been listening to this album for 4 weeks. And the whole time I've been like, what does this sound like? The first thing I thought it sounded like was Ben Queller. But then I was like, but it's not quite, that's not who I'm thinking of. And it wasn't until today that I figured out that it's like the second Death Cab album. We have the facts and we're voting yes, which is one of my all-time favorite albums, and is, just really cool. I love it. And I was like, I finally figured it out so I can talk about it. So just 8 songs is the perfect length for these guys. I do think even if they had like a 9th or a 10th song, even fully mastered, it would probably start to be a bit too much of a draw. But just 8 songs is just perfectly, like, they're all balanced. It's an amazing lyrics and vocals and guitars and just excellent pieces. And it feels like it's been carefully mixed and mastered to not sound like it's been carefully mixed and mastered. Like it's been just like effortless, and it's like you are there and you're watching them play it. And so for that reason, I loved every second of it. And I thought it was flawless.
I got 2.
Yeah, you got a flawless.
Huge.
That's
Rare.
Massive.
Super rare. So I'm the same, George. I just like, what the hell was I doing? Like I must have just, when they were coming up on my Spotify, I don't know what I was doing to not pay attention, and just like, damn it, this was like 5 years. I could have been
They've been
on
a band
them, and just,
because I listen to so much Death Cab.
yeah.
They're obviously in the, you might also like Pinegrove, and I'm just like, oh yeah, I could try a new band, but I'm already listening to Death Cab, so I'm like, I'm not going to try this new band.
Moods too.
And also, they sound like old Death Cabs. So it's like,
Yeah,
what Death
right?
Cab have become, I'm not as big a fan of. So it's like, well, I could have just been listening to these guys for my old Death Cab fix.
For your old Death Cab fix, that's nice. So you can be a junkie. And now that we have recorded the episode, I can actually spend some time listening to the rest of their catalogue.
Ditto, we'll definitely do that.
I'm going to have virgin ears to all of it. So just imagine, like, every time you have listened to their newest records and they've come out and you've just been filled with warmth and glee, I get to do that all.
I've not been disappointed at all. Every single time they've just, blown me away.
Perfect. Cool.
Thank you very much for coming along and nominating an album. That was really great. Thank you, everyone, for listening. We have Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. We are Flawless AMP on all of those. So you can join the conversation, share or like our posts, and give us a rating. And every little bit helps us find more music lovers like you. And as mentioned, we also now have Patreon and a Facebook group and a Clubhouse group. So come and look at the links look in the links in the show notes for all that. And if you'd like to back us, please check that out. Thanks again for listening, and we will see you next time.